Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the AHA Movement Sunday Live. My name is Yogesh Kapoor and I am a communications coach. And today I have with me my accountability partner, my friend, what should I say? She means a lot to me. Grace, so amazing. Grace, welcome again to our Sunday Live and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. Thanks so much, Yogesh, for being such a wonderful friend and a colleague. We've been on this journey for close to 4 or 5 years now, and we keep learning and we keep growing together. My name is Grace So Amazing. I am a physicist and a life coach. And I'm excited today because what we'll be talking about is something that I find really interesting and it's my personal favorite. So I'm looking forward to our conversation. And yes, how is your day coming along? If you're going to be watching this later, if you're going to be seeing this later, please make sure you drop something that would help us keep this going on. Over to you, Yogesh.
I totally agree with you, right? It's a subject that is very close to you because as a personal development coach, you have mastered it, right? I've always seen you posting about it, and it is one very important aspect to human life. I think it is the most important aspect to human life, which is health. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. You can hear me clearly? Okay, cool.
Yes,
We're
I
going to
can.
talk about health today. So, what is health, Grace? Define health because people think health is only physical. So,
Health, in my own definition, is our general well-being. And when I mean general well-being, is it's a part of us that makes us mentally, physically, and overall well. So if you're well mentally, if you're well physically, if you're well emotionally, if you're well spiritually, you can say that you are in a great healthy state. So health to me is overall wellness of the mind and body. That's how I'll define health.
well, yeah, I did a speech long time back and I was talking about physical, mental, spiritual, because health is, you cannot, zero in just on one, correct? Health is your whole well being. If you're physically healthy, but you're not mentally healthy, it's not going to help you. And if you're mentally healthy and you're not spiritually healthy, it's not going to help either. Um, as a human being, we need to balance all three. But today, let us focus on one because if we talk about all three, it's going to be a very, very, very long conversation. So, we're going to talk about health. And while we wait for Grace to come back, I'm going to talk about physical health. Now, over my years, my journey of life, I was not a very physically healthy person at one point. In fact, I used to neglect my health. And I'm talking in all aspects, right? Uh, but let's focus on physical health. Like I said, I became overweight when I was 10 years old, and I used to eat wrong, and I had the wrong habits, and I stopped, exercising or playing sports. And what happened to me over time was I grew really, really obese. For my age, I was really, really big. But came a time where I started to change that, and I started eating right. I started exercising, and that made me physically well again. Like my weight was controlled. But then again, when I started my journey in my work, I again made my physical health really bad because I was drinking a lot, I was smoking, I was not walking, any form of exercise. I was driving a lot, and that caused me to gain weight again. At one point, I was at 92 kilos, and if you saw me, this was like 15 years back. If you saw me, I was in really bad shape. I used to have mental fog because I was not taking care of myself. I used to have anxiety attacks. I used to feel depressed at all times. And I couldn't figure out why. And the whole thing was my lifestyle. My lifestyle was completely horrible. I used to overeat, right? I knew I didn't need to, but maybe it was some form of, anxiety eating disorder. I would just eat to make myself feel good, and I would drink a lot of alcohol. I would drink, like, oh my god, half a bottle a day, almost. So I really screwed up my health. And then once again, I took in charge of myself. I started exercising again. I started eating right. I started, um, you know, doing the thing that was important to me, no more alcohol. And I lost 15 kilos automatically. That brought my health back into shape. Um, I see Grace is still trying to settle in. She's on the move. But um, again, fast forward 2018, my health got worse. Again, 2019, then came 2020. I decided to, because the doctor told me that, your body is lacking a lot of uh, vitamins. And I decided to once again take care of my health. And this time it wasn't a weight thing, right? My weight was in control. It was more my internal, my diabetes was really high, um, brain fog, so many other issues. So I went on a journey of eating right. I started eating right. Not so much exercising, but more on eating right. I think that's the first step. It's not about going to the gym and pumping muscle. I mean, that is important too, but that I'm something that Grace will talk about and what she's mastered. But I started eating right. I started avoiding the things that are unnecessary. For example, I stopped having cow milk. I started having almond milk. I started putting that in my smoothies. I started avoiding, milk tea. Um, Instead, I had black coffee. So I changed the kind of foods I was eating. I am a big fan of Chinese food, so I eat a lot of soya sauce. And I stopped eating soya sauce, and I, substituted that with coconut aminos, and it tastes almost the same, but it really transformed my body. And at the same time, I wasn't putting oil in my food. I was just having vegetables, no carbohydrates in the night. You'll not believe, over a period of changing those things, I lost a good 12 kilos. Can you imagine? I lost a good 12 kilos in a span of 3 to 6 months. And after that, yes, I put on a little weight again because I now live in China and I don't really get home food and all of that. But starts with your food. It all starts with your food. You got to eat right and you got to keep consistent. You can't, like, you can have cheat days, but you can't, right? You know? So now I think I've spoken a lot on that aspect of it. Let's move to Grace. Grace, are you able to speak?
Yes, I'm able to. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And I was talking about how I controlled my food. I want to move on to you because I
Can
know
you hear me?
you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So sorry. It's
So
just
I
that
was talking
this has
about
to go on.
changing your
You
food.
know.
I want to move on to exercising because I know you're a master of that.
Oh yes, 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 yes. And just confirm you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I became a junkie. Would I say I became very? I'm using the word addicted loosely because I started seeing the benefits, and it was as a result, it was a wake up call for me. I was, overweight. I was always panting, I would walk from here to there and I'll be panting. And I just knew, sometimes even if anyone lies to us, we can't lie to ourselves, so I realized that I wasn't feeling good from inside out. I noticed that I was unhealthy. I was just all over the place. please. So I knew I needed to do something. And then that was how I started working out. And I started working out to lose weight, but I realized that I got other benefits. I became very sharp in my mind. I became very um, energetic. I was full of life. I started enjoying the whole thing. Even though till tomorrow it's not always easy. I will tell you that anyone that's been working out knows that it's not always easy. That it's not what they wake up. We don't usually feel excited every time you get up to work out. The beauty is when you get up, when you work out, you enjoy the feeling that comes afterwards. So for me, I will just say to myself, no pain, no gain. So I make sure I do something on a daily basis to just keep me sharp, smart, and energetic. Yes, I think it's
That's good
lagging.
because
You're not hearing me almost immediately. Yeah, it's lagging.
yeah, what you're a great example of how, like, I always see you posting about exercising, even though now that you've come across that part of losing all the weight, but you've made it your habit. And I know you're very good with maintaining habits and teaching people how to make habits, and I always see you posting about you're on a run or you're exercising and you keep doing it, which is just brilliant, right? What advice would you give to people who are struggling with maintaining that kind of discipline for health?
Okay, so for me, beyond healthy living, I have been able to build my discipline muscle, if there's anything like that. It has helped me to build discipline. When I know I have to wake up 5 a.m. to do something, I am programming my mind, telling myself that, Grace, there's something you have to do for you. And it's just the story you tell yourself. There's no other way, because I always tell people that, look, nobody can advise you. You just have to advise yourself. So it took, the only thing I did that made it a lot easier was I joined a group of people with like minds, and that helped me a lot. So when I'm down, I'll just see, and I'll see that somebody is up and running, is doing something, and then I'll pick myself up. So the first thing I would say is tell yourself the truth. Why are you doing this, and what is it going to do for you? And most importantly, I have this belief. What I think is how I treat myself is directly proportional to what I think and how I want to serve God. Because I don't want to believe that, we're not connected to a source. If you're connected to a source or you're connected to a creator, you would know that this creator created you to nourish your body and make you, you're supposed to do good. We're supposed to do good to ourselves, to our bodies, to our minds, right? So for that reason alone, I am the one in charge of this body. I'm the one to take care of it. So I think that's my driving force. That's my driving force. So if somebody gave you something to take care of, how and what would you do to ensure that that thing is being maintained? You get what I mean? So for me, my body is how I want to tell my creator that thank you for making me this gorgeous. Thank you for making me this beautiful. Thank you for all that you do for me. It's my own bit to do what I have to do for myself. So the first thing is to tell yourself the truth that you need to take care of yourself. And then secondly, you connect with other people that can help you on the journey. So that's what I would say has really helped me greatly. Yeah.
I love that. I love that part where you say, the creator has given this body and you want to show him gratitude by taking care of it. I've always believed that, what I've learned is that your body is your temple. And how would you treat your temple, right? Or a place of worship? Would you fill it with negativity and junk and all of that? No. You want to fill it with the right things. I had a great issue with smoking. Like I was on off on off on off till I quit, right? And it's not easy to get rid of certain habits. It's because science has shown that habits of like smoking and all are as strong as habits of having drugs like cocaine and all. So it's a struggle. But the point is, when you realize that end of the day, if you're not healthy, you know, nothing works in your life. The amount of focus you get when you're healthy, it's unbelievable. And even some of the best speakers like Anthony Robbins, they say the first thing you need to do in the morning is get your body moving, and it doesn't have to be so big. It doesn't have to be something that you need to go on a run. It could be the smallest thing, right? Maybe just on your bed, you do some movement. Like some people, like, they do the cycling movement while they're lying down. Like it could be anything that you enjoy doing. Doesn't have to be what others tell you to do. I was watching a video last night of this lady who was showing exercises, simple exercises that you can do at home, right? Just to keep your mind and body fit. In fact, it's not even about how long you do it. You could even do 10 minutes a day and it can keep your body in shape. The whole point is to get your body moving, to get those chemical releases, gives you more confidence, clears your brain fog. So now we mentioned already about, food. I've seen food really makes a big difference. When you get rid of certain foods, especially today's world where we eat so much packet and processed foods, if you avoid that stuff and you eat right, yes, eating right is not as tasty as we want it to be. But, you got to take care of the body the creator has given you, like you said. Exercise, big one, right? Discipline. You need discipline to do both, eat right and exercise. Correct? But what about those people who have
Yes.
habitual thing of eating wrong and not exercising? How do you break them from that pattern? That's my question to you now. Because we spoke about discipline, but how do you get out of that pattern?
What pattern?
Pattern of eating wrong and not exercising.
Again, I'll say the same thing. If you want to be true to yourself, you just know. And you know how interesting it is. I think recently, and I think we all fall short. We No one is there completely. It's just knowing when to catch yourself. I also eat nonsense, for lack of a better word. I also eat nonsense sometimes. I also eat nonsense sometimes. But the good thing is, I know when to catch myself, and I tell myself, Grace, no, no, you have to do better. So what I do is, once I catch myself eating nonsense, I know that yes, this is not right for me, and then I just get back on track. So again, discipline, self talk. When you talk to yourself, you also know your limits, know what you so I know my limits. When I'm eating, I know when I am okay. I don't overdo it. I don't overdo it. I just know that, Grace, you're okay. Anything you add to this is greed. Is greed. It's greed. So when I'm eating, I'll just gauge myself, and I'm like, okay, it's okay, we're good, it's okay, and then I just move on. So at the end of the day, I would say discipline is it for me, and knowing what's right for your body. You can try. So what I do is, every time I eat something new, I check if it sits well with me. If it doesn't sit well, I'm not touching that thing again. So that's it. So understand what you put in your mouth and understand how it affects your body. I think we have touched on the key things, like very important things, that when it comes to one's health, physical health,
Yeah, health is
the food and
almost
all of that.
everything. Like when you're young, when you're kids, you have so much energy and all. But over the years, as you keep filling your body with the wrong stuff and not exercising, and another problem today is gadget time, right? And not getting enough enough body movement, or nowadays generation, I find it really weird. They're like, oh, I don't want to go out in the sun, it's too hot, not realizing that the sun is also an important thing in your life. Like you said, if in the 5 in the morning you got to get up and go for that walk, you do. um, Today was Sunday. Today I had a cheat day. I ate a little more carbohydrates than I needed to eat. But at the same time, one of the things I did was I went out in the sun and I sat there for 30 minutes and got some sun on my body. I felt so good. I felt so much happier going out in the sun, even though it was extremely hot today. I said, no, I need the sunlight. So, those natural things that we don't get, that we've been avoiding, and today's generation are so used to the things. I think those things are also really important, in maintaining our health. But yeah, we've covered eat right, exercise, discipline, break the pattern. I think we've covered pretty much a lot of what we had to discuss today. Is there anything else you want to add to it, Grace?
Okay, nothing more. I think we've touched on important things, and I'm sure we can just go and rethink these particular things, all these things that we just said. We can just go back and sit down and reevaluate and check ourselves, know what we're doing right and what we're not doing right, and then just adjust. I think it's a journey. It's not something that you just wake up to and then you get to the end of it. I think it's something that you get better as you're more intentional. So yeah, pretty much that's what I would say.
Exactly. Intentional, that's the word for it. And the most successful people in life, they are focused, and one reason is their health. They're so disciplined that they are able to do the things that regular people wouldn't be able to do, because regular people get they get lethargic, lack of energy, lack of focus. So health, I think, is the greatest wealth. I experienced it because during COVID, I was taking care of myself for 6 months. I was taking my vitamins, I was eating right. And what I realized was my immune system was fighting COVID for a week. My whole family got COVID, but my immune system fought it for a week, even though, I have diabetes. And that showed that because I took care, my immune system was stronger than theirs, you know. And had I not taken care, maybe, I would have been severely affected by COVID. But thank God, prior to that 6 months, I was taking care of myself. So I think we've covered a lot, and maybe we will talk about spiritual and mental health in our next few episodes. But for those of you that are going to watch the replay, please hashtag replay. What was your aha moment for today? Do let us know, and share this with anyone who you feel will benefit from this. Guys, I'm really serious. Health is your greatest wealth. My father was a smoker. He spoiled his lungs. He suffered for 15 years. Trust me, he was a very strong man, but his health didn't give way. It's very important to keep your health in shape. Any last words, Grace, before we end the episode?
I'm sorry, but it's better to do something than not to do it at all. That's what I would say. Even though I was all over the place, at least we got to do this, which is what's important to me. And what I would say is that I think we'll still need to talk about this. I think we'll continue with this particular conversation next week, because we cannot exhaust it. It's something that we have to be really intentional about, and we have to keep echoing it, probably in a different, people get to hear some of these things, and because it's signed up in their heads that it is not for them, they're tired of anything that's going to stress them out. They want to enjoy themselves, and they just get to a point where, where they don't care. They've heard, do not smoke, do not take alcohol, do not do this, do not do that. And it's so annoying to them. But the thing is, let's look at it from the angle of what would you do better, rather than the do not. What would you rather do better for your own self? So I think that's what I'm going to end with. And then also know that, nothing just happens. You have to be intentional. My best word to always use is to be intentional. So nothing just happens. You have to put in the
Correct.
work, and then
Correct.
you get the benefits. So I think that's all I would say.
Correct. I agree with you on that. And yes, this is a conversation we need to continue next week on another level. But I so agree, not just about the don'ts, but also about what they should do instead. However, we will continue this next week. And thank you, everyone, whoever came live, and do leave us comments, hashtag replay, subscribe if you haven't. Let us know what your moment was, and we'll see you again next week, maybe on another time and day. We'll let you know. And see you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.